Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a carbon cycle game. We are going to start start understanding what carbon is and how it cycles around the earth, so we really understand the impact within the biosphere or our living organisms, because that's what we're going to be studying in biology. It's a fun game. You get to move around and walk around the classroom. So let's get started. Go ahead and pull out your worksheet that looks like this. And let's read it together for just a second. The key to understanding the cycles of matter on Earth begins with identifying the reservoirs, or where the matter is stored. So there are different places on the Earth that the matter is stored. For instance, it's in living things in the ocean, so what we call the marine biosphere. It's in the open ocean. It's in rocks, it's in fossil fuels, it's in terrestrial plants, which is land plants. It's in the atmosphere, and it's in the like rivers, in the biosphere. So all of those places are actually posted around the room on blue or yellow paper. We'll go over where each one is in just a moment. The residence time, so how long that carbon stays in one reservoir, and the fluxes, how the matter moves from one reservoir to another. When we're identifying these fluxes, ask yourself, how am I getting from one to another? Remember, carbon is not living. If it says I die and then I'm reprecipitated, or I die and I'm diffused, okay, carbon doesn't die, it's not living, it can't die. The organism that had the carbon in it dies, and that's why that carbon is able to move on to a different reservoir. So just keep that in mind. Find your big science words. Photosynthesized, respirated, reprecipitated. Find your big science words that are in those. If you have any questions, ask the sub. I guarantee you they can help you find the verb that's in the sentence. Today you're going to play a game to learn about the carbon cycle, its reservoirs, residence times, and fluxes. By the end of this activity, you should be able to describe and explain how the carbon cycle has changed in the last 250 years. Around the room there are signs for each reservoir. Under the reservoir sign, there's a die and a set of instructions. Okay, again, the reservoir signs are in blue or in yellow depending on what round you are in. Now, you have a dice that the sub will give you. One dice. Okay, carry it around the room with you. Don't be throwing it around. Just carry it around the room and do your thing. Make sure you give it back to the sub at the end of the hour. They will be counting them and making sure that they get all of them back. You are a carbon atom. Yay! You've got, you're a carbon atom. I don't know where I was going with that. You will be assigned to start at different reservoirs. Once you get to the reservoir, record your location on the chart below. Roll the die. Depending on the number you roll, you will go to that station around the room. If you stay at a reservoir, record that. Be sure to record the flux mechanisms, or how you get to that new reservoir. When you have visited every reservoir, go back to your seat and map your journey on the back of the page. It's okay if you get stuck at a reservoir in round one. If you start in fossil fuels and you stay in fossil fuels the entire game, the entire round here, that's fine. There's a reason for that. 250 years ago, we didn't have industrialization. We didn't need as many fossil fuels as we do now. So we weren't digging them up and releasing that carbon that's stuck in there. It's okay. Just let it go. Okay? Once you get your chart filled out, you'll start mapping on the back that says map your carbon cycle. Let's go ahead and I'll give you an example first I'll tell you where all of those reservoirs are. The reservoir for atmosphere is actually on the bookshelf under the windows. Soil is on the cart with the lamp on it. Fossil fuels is found on the word wall between H and I, K, and L. Rocks is found under S on the word wall. Terrestrial plants is found under the geologic map of Arkansas, the colorful map of Arkansas on the purple wall. Deep ocean, please don't forget deep ocean. It's hiding for whatever reason. It's on the fire extinguisher. Don't forget deep ocean. Marine biosphere is on the table beside the lab desk, and the open ocean, or the surface ocean, shallow ocean, whatever it's called on the maps, I think there's two words, is over by the sticks that I pull with your names on them. You'll be able to circulate around the classroom. Please be nice. Please don't act a fool. But let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to actually tell you really quick how many people need to start at each section for round 1 and how many need to start at round 2. The sub will have this information, so make sure that many people are there before the game starts. This is very important to do with residence times, how long something stays, and how much of that carbon is actually stored. So 3% of the world's carbon, this is the round one. 3% of the world's carbon is found in the atmosphere. So one student in the class needs to start in atmosphere. If you'd like, you can go ahead and choose that student to go stand in that area, or you can wait or just assign them. Soil, 23% of the carbon is stored in soil. So 6 students need to start in soil. 8% of the world's carbon is stored in the shallow ocean or the open ocean. 2 students need to start in the shallow ocean. 8% of the world's carbon is found in terrestrial plants. So again, 2 students need to start in terrestrial plants. And the rest of you need to start in fossil fuels. Over 58% of the Earth's carbon is found in fossil fuels. That's a ton, you guys. So a lot of you are going to start there. If you are in round 2, the numbers do change just a little bit. 3 students need to start in atmosphere. 6 students need to start in soil. 3 in the shallow ocean. 3 in terrestrial plants. And the rest of you in fossil fuels. Let's kind of go ahead and read a little bit and kind of make a chart for just a second so you can see. So say I start in the shallow ocean. I'm going to write the term shallow ocean in my starting reservoir. Now I'm going to shorten it just for time's sake for the video. Shallow ocean, and I'm going to roll my dice. When I roll my dice, I roll a 1. And that 1 says on your cards are going to look something like this, but on blue paper. Open ocean, you are taken in by phytoplankton through photosynthesis, and the phytoplankton has been eaten by krill. Go to the marine biosphere. So, as that carbon, you were taken in, you were photosynthesized, basically. That was the flux mechanism. So you're going to write photosynthesize or photosynthesis. And then it tells me my ending reservoir, it tells me go to marine biosphere. So I'm going to write marine biosphere. Again, I'm shortening it just for time's sake. I go to marine biosphere, I roll a dice, and I roll a 3. The organism, again, I'm going to go and I'm going to read. If I roll a 3, I'm going to go through here and I'm going to read what it says. The organism that you're a part of washes up on shore and dies. As it decomposes, you diffuse back into the atmosphere. Again, carbon doesn't die, it's not living. It has been diffused back into the atmosphere. Look for your big science words, like I said. So, as it decomposes, you diffuse back into the atmosphere. So, my ending reservoir is my starting reservoir for my next section. So, marine biosphere, I am diffused. And I'm going to go into the atmosphere. Okay, we'll do one more just for grin. So I'm going to start back in my atmosphere. I'm going to roll my dice again. And say I roll, say I roll a 1 again. So again, you have been photosynthesized by a terrestrial plant. Go to terrestrial plants. So again, I've been photosynthesized. And I need to go to terrestrial plants. You see where we're going with this? You're just going to walk around the room. If you get stuck or you're bouncing from one to another, that's okay. Record every single trip you make. Once you get done with that section, I want you to go and sit down with your group, or not with your group, by yourself, and start working on the mapping carbon sheet until everybody else is done. Once everybody's done, the sub can go ahead and start round 2, even if your map is not done, because your data is there. So we just want to go ahead and get that map or the data down really quick and then work on our maps later. That's some sit down quiet time. So as I erase the board, I want everybody to flip to their the second page of that packet. It says map. It's like a blank page and it says map your cycle. Okay, it's a blank page and it says map your carbon cycle. Now, Everybody's will look different. I'm just saying, everybody's is going to look different. So make sure that you're using your data, because I'm going to know if you don't, because it's not going to match your data that's on your sheet. It's really easy. Just start with a circle. We're going to make our starting and ending reservoirs, and then we're going to draw lines. It's just a quick flow chart. So if I start at marine biosphere, I'm going to draw a circle and put my reservoir, marine biosphere. How did I get to the open ocean? I'm going to draw an arrow. I'm going to draw another symbol that says open ocean. And then how did I get there? I'm going to label that arrow. I'm going to label my flux mechanisms. I respired, or respired. I was absorbed back into the marine biosphere. So I can draw another arrow backwards to marine biosphere, and I could say I'm absorbed. You don't need to draw a bunch of different circles. I spelled that horribly wrong. You don't need to draw a bunch of different circles. Draw one circle for each reservoir that you were at, and then draw your arrows at that point. Then I was taken back into the open ocean through respiring. So again, I did the same thing over. I don't need to draw another line for that. Once I get to the open ocean, I diffuse into the atmosphere. So now I have another ending reservoir. Whoop! I have another ending reservoir. So I'm going to draw an arrow, and I'm going to go into the atmosphere. And how did I get into the atmosphere? Well, I diffused. Okay, I diffused into the atmosphere. Now from the atmosphere, I was photosynthesized by marine organisms. So I'm going to go back to marine biosphere, and I was photosynthesized. Okay, do you get the idea? So you don't have to label a bunch of different things. You just need to make sure that you have your starting reservoirs and your ending reservoirs on there, and then label your arrows with your flux mechanisms. So I hope you guys have a fun time. You'll finish round 1 today and maybe start round 2. And if you don't start round 2 today, you'll get to it tomorrow. And then I want you to make sure that make sure you get your carbon cycles done for both of your results, and then start on the rest of the packet. I'll be back on Wednesday, and I will see you then. Have a good day and be good.